I made a post this time last year highlighting the fact that 3 teams had won 60 plus games to end the NBA regular season for the 2024-2025 season. And that hadn't been done, I think at the time, in like 15, 20 years. I think it was the 08-09 season the last time that had happened. And historically, I think this season marks the 9th time there have been 3 teams within a season to win 60 plus games. Now, that's awesome, right? It means that there's a lot of winning basketball going on. There's a lot of really great teams in the league. But also, when you look back at the history of it, you realize that it always coincides with something, right? I think the last time it happened consecutively was in the 90s, back when the expansion was happening in the NBA. And then you go back to, or you circle back to now, and it seems like it's happening during a time when tanking is at an all-time high, right? Everybody's trying to position themselves, or at least the bad teams. The bottom half of the NBA is trying to position themselves for a high draft pick so they can, get one of these guys, the AJs, the Cam Boozers, the Petersons of the world, etc. And does that at all cheapen the winning the high-level basketball that's going on in the NBA today? That's my question to you guys. Does that at all cheapen the high level of basketball that's being played by the top half of the NBA currently? And I don't know the answer to that. I'm not saying that it does. I'm not saying that it doesn't. But I definitely think it correlates, right? I think all the losing that's going on, right, all the teams that are trying to put themselves in the best position to land a high draft pick, definitely on the flip side make it easier to get those wins. Where in a more competitive season, right, even though the best teams are still going to win a lot of games, you have to come a little bit more prepared when you walk into a Washington, into a who's another terrible team in Indiana this season, et cetera, right? Some of those bottom feeders who for the past month and a half have been trying to just lose games as best as they could, right? Usually, right, if it's not, tanking isn't so prevalent, if there isn't such a tremendous draft class that everybody's been speculating on over the past couple of years, there's more incentive to win regardless, right? And it makes those easy wins a little bit less easy, if you get what I'm saying. So I'm just bringing up a talking point, right, for no other reason than just something that I noticed. Obviously, anytime you see 3 teams win 60-plus games, you got to tip your hat to that. 60-win seasons are very, very hard to come by. So tip of the hat to the Detroit Pistons, to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Spurs, right? A young team in the Spurs who have completely, 180'd from, being a developmental team to all of a sudden being, quite possibly one of the favorites to win the whole thing this year. But also just recognizing what's going on the other side of things and how, that can make it a little bit easier on these good teams to go get wins, right? And I think, me as a Lakers fan, that's a perfect example, right? Because for a large part of the season, before the Lakers really started winning against good teams, the reason that the Lakers' record was able to stay so positive, right, even though their gameplay did not speak to that at all, I think is because they were able to take care of those bad teams. You know what I'm saying? So just something to think about, right? Again, tip of the hat to the teams who won 60-plus games this season, the teams that won 50-plus games this season. But just on the flip side of that, it makes you think about the impact that tanking has, not just on games becoming disinteresting throughout the course of the season, but how it makes it easier on these good teams in certain stretches to rack up wins, right? Let me know what you guys think on that. Peace.